Hi, there, Henrik. Oh, there is. Um,
Hey,
hey,
Hello. This is my name.
your name, user.
User. Now I'm no longer user.
Um, Henrik,
yeah,
I'm curious about what books that you have read um do you what is the English word for that? Recommend.
yeah, yeah. I think I actually have some of them here. Let me see. There's this one, Why We Run. Really recommendable. Very, very good book. And then of course there's this famous Chris McDougall book on running, where he is writing about some of the tribes I think it's in the Mexico area, which created the whole focus on running barefoot. And that's also an amazing book. And then
Born to Run.
Born to Run, yes.
Oh.
And then there's a third example is actually a Japanese author who is a very famous author in general, and has written some amazing books. And he did a book, I think it's in English, called What I talk about when I talk about running. And that's also a really, really amazing book.
What I talk about when I talk about running.
Yeah, yeah.
What is that book about?
Yeah, it's not so much ultra running actually, but he is doing marathons, he's doing triathlon, but then he's linking running and his training to also his work as an author. Yeah. So that can be really recommendable.
Right. To his work as an author?
Sorry?
Like he's linking his work with running to, or his training with running to his work as an author.
Yeah, and some of the links and parallels he can draw. He's called Murakami, and this is for a number of people that is one of the key books to read in terms of running.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the parallels between running and being an author and writing.
Yeah, and I would assume when I reflect on the book, some of the links he's making is both of these activities is relatively individual activities.
Right.
So you really need discipline, you need stamina, these kind of things. Also, it's a painful process. And you don't really know whether you will succeed or not, and you need to accept being in that kind of distress in order to succeed and achieve things.
I'd never thought about the parallels between those two things, because my dad is writing a lot. He writes every day and reads every day and also runs.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because you need to have so much stamina and have your mental in order to be able to do that.
Yeah,
a long period of time.
How do you explain that, Stephen?
Well, I wanted to sort of bring maybe Phoebe's experience into this, in that I come at the world very much from a distance runner's mindset, because that's the way I was raised. breaking things down into pieces until they add up into some sort of whole, and you don't know what the whole is going to add up to. But your experience, Phoebe, which I admire, and my friend Brett is an actor and he does theater, and I have a number of other artist friends. That willingness to step into the unknown of creation without necessarily having a distinct purpose or plan or pattern, or like there's a real openness about you, Phoebe, and your creative process that's very different from, I wouldn't say that I'm not open, but I definitely have a goal in mind and I hold on to that goal, maybe loosely, but it's very much like this. So what is your experience, Phoebe, in terms of creation, if we're talking about creation, different from what you've seen my experience be?
Well, I think I've looked up to the way that you are able to like conquer and like divide and conquer and kind of like break everything up and have really set goals. Like I feel like this year I really wanted to be able to like read a whole book, but I feel like I just digest information differently, where I need like kind of new things to like look at and play with. It's like that element of play is missing for me, I think.
And I wanted to bring you into this because I know we're talking about distance running, I suppose, but if we're going off on creation, to trust your experience, Phoebe, and not assume that my experience is necessarily the right way, but to try to work with you. And this is a running metaphor here, or not. Phoebe's a very good swimmer. Unfortunately, there's no swimming pool for her, but I can see that talent and ability in you. And to own the way you experience reality, because it's different from mine, and not discount that just because other people have a certain way of going about it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because us grinders, that's a different story.
Yeah.
And I admire the non-grinders, because you guys are, not that you're not a grinder in your own way, Phoebe, but that openness and the willingness to see where things take you instead of, nope, got to get my run in today. Got to get my run in today.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Did you want to go? I'm letting you go where you wanted to go, Mette. I kind of took it a certain direction.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I think that's really helpful to remember. Because it also, when you compare yourself to other people, you end up not, it takes away from your own energy of being able to kind of have a flow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right, because the way, I mean, to make this back to running, I think that Henrik and I come at running from different running routes, and I may be wrong, Henrik, so correct me, but I grew up like a competitive cross-country and track runner, which I wouldn't say that what I came from is necessarily adaptive to ultra marathon running. It's a different beast. I mean, my body's beat up and I'm older now, but running fast is very different from being able to run long miles in the heat. I mean, that's just genetics. A lot of that is just, I would literally, I think my heart would stop if I tried, if I even tried to do what you do. No, I would die. I can't, at this age, I can't run in that heat. I don't have enough of a body for it. But I can run a 3:15 marathon still at my age, and that's a different, physiological experience. And if I tried to force myself to be you, I couldn't do the miles you do. My body would just break.
Exactly. And that is so interesting, trying to find where is your talent, and then utilize that and focus on that, and not try to become or do something that's simply not fit for you. And that's so interesting, trying to find what is it and where is it I can be the best version of myself, and then really to go into that and not trying to be someone else, right? And completely agree, Stephen. Some of the abilities you need when you do these really long runs and you do it day after day is very, very different from being fast. And that's just how it is, right?
And Phoebe, I think you were talking about that book, what I talk about when I talk about running. There is that connection with, I think, art and creation and writing is trying to find where you're most adaptive creatively, your pocket, and not discount it just because it's you. And I would say that says something about our psychological experiences. Well, I can do that, so it's not that important.
Yeah.
And I've certainly even done that with my running throughout my life. I have not been able to understand my abilities, and I discounted some abilities because it's certain aspects maybe were easier. But I can't do what Henrik does, so I must be terrible.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
that's not my lane. But you know, Phoebe, with your creative work, to be able to own your lane, embrace your lane, if you enjoy it, because other people can't do what you do.
No.
Or
Exactly.
say Mette with soccer, or I don't know, you know, what your lane is, but from what I understand, you're very gifted at soccer, and shorter bursts of speed.
Very technical with the body too. Like she's really good at,
Weightlifting.
like, yeah, or eye hand coordination.
Well,
Like do all the juggling stuff with the ball. It's really cool.
My coach, I had a coach once that used to say that there was something he didn't understand with me, because sometimes I would do something, like we were talking about the Danish soccer player at Arsenal, and he would be like, sometimes you do something that I don't understand how you do it, and then other times you like, it's like you can't even like have the most basics like done. But I don't know.
It happens with talent.
Yeah.
It's like you can do something really complicated, but then in other areas it might be lacking, or like in the most basic.
Exactly.
I don't know who the what camp this is in sort of those motivational speaker type people, but they sort of teach on not, if you're wasting your time and energy if you're focusing on what those areas that are deficits for you, and that it's best to isolate your giftings. That doesn't mean that you don't focus also on your deficits, but you really try to heighten the way you're adapted for, and push into that.
Exactly.
Don't fight yourself. And this is about running. If you in athletics, if you fight your body, you're going to you have to let your body perform. If it's been trained a certain way, and that took me, sorry, I'm maybe going too far here, but it took me years, because I didn't start running marathons until I was 44.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, I've been a runner my whole life, but I realized as a runner, you spend how many hours running, how many miles, I mean, a lot. You train your body, and your best bet is to get out of your own way. Your body's trained to run the marathon. So when on race day, you just let go and do what your body knows to do. And that's a very spiritual experience. And I think it's the same with art, Phoebe, when you're creating, or soccer, when you're on the pitch, letting it flow and letting it happen.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I can see that we are in time now.
Yeah, I have another call coming up now, even slightly late for that, but
oh, sorry about that. I started talking.
That's absolutely no problem, Stephen. It was a very interesting aspect.
But yeah, I'm glad to hear that though. And thank you to all of you for making it possible and making the call.
Yeah.
Good to meet you, Henrik.
For having
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was really interesting.
We'll
Thank you. We'll talk. Bye.
We'll talk. Bye.